ATA for replacing pictures of my cousins with pictures of my dog. So I, 26F, recently moved back into my parents' house for a few months while saving up to buy my own place. It's been interesting, to say the least. Don't get me wrong, I love my parents. They've done a lot for me over the years, and I'm genuinely grateful. But living with them again after being on my own for so long feels like stepping back into an old version of myself that I thought I'd outgrown. You know that weird limbo where you're technically an adult, but the moment you walk through your parents' front door, it's like you're 17 again? That's been my entire existence lately. And to make things even more fun, my mom is one of those people who loves to decorate every inch of the house with family photos. When I say every inch, I mean every inch. There's the giant collage above the fireplace filled with smiling faces from every holiday and wedding since the early 2000s. There's the memory wall in the hallway that's basically a shrine to family reunions and baby announcements. Even the bathroom has a tiny framed picture of my cousin Emily holding her cat. I wish I were joking, but here's the thing, all the photos are of my cousins. I'm not exaggerating. Out of maybe 30 or 40 framed photos throughout the house, there are 2 of me. 2. One from my 5th grade graduation and another from a family barbecue where I'm half blinking and holding a hot dog like it's an alien object. Meanwhile, my aunt's kids, Emily and Ryan, have practically taken over the house. They're in every other frame. Emily's smiling in her nurse uniform. Ryan and his fiancée on a boat. Emily again, holding her degree. Ryan again, holding a trophy for something I don't even remember. It's like my mom decided to become their unofficial biographer. Whenever I mention it, she waves it off with, "Oh honey, your cousins send me professional pictures every year." I can't just not display them. And I get it. Kind of. But it still stings. Especially because I'm the one who actually helps my parents. I'm the one who visits regularly, who calls when dad's back pain flares up, who fixes the Wi-Fi when it inevitably breaks. Emily lives 3 states away and calls twice a year, but somehow, she's the golden child in every frame. Anyway, when I moved back in, I brought my dog, Bean, with me. Bean's a golden retriever, 5 years old, fluffy as a cloud, and the absolute light of my life. I got him during a really rough period after a breakup, and honestly, he saved me. So when I say Bean's the only thing keeping me sane while living back home, I mean it. Because here's the thing about moving back in with your parents as an adult, it's humbling. You go from managing your own space, your own schedule, your own life, to suddenly being told things like, don't forget to take your shoes off, and can you not leave your laptop on the dining table? It's like time travel, but instead of visiting a fun historical era, you're trapped in your childhood home with outdated wallpaper and the smell of Glade plugins. The first few weeks weren't terrible. I worked remotely, helped out around the house, and tried to stay out of the way. My dad mostly kept to himself, tinkering in the garage or watching sports, and my mom, well, she was her usual bubbly, slightly overbearing self. But every time I walked through the living room and saw those photos, something in me tightened. I know it sounds stupid, but it felt like this visual reminder that in my own home, or what used to be my home, I didn't really belong. Like, imagine living somewhere where every wall screams you're not the favorite. It's not about vanity or wanting constant validation. It's more about feeling invisible in the one place where you're supposed to feel seen. And when you're already juggling adult responsibilities, financial stress, and the existential dread of living with your parents at 26, that kind of thing starts to eat at you. One night, I was sitting on the couch with Bean watching Netflix when my mom came in holding a package. "Oh, Emily sent me her engagement photos," she said excitedly. I forced a smile. "That's nice." She opened the envelope right there, gushing over each glossy print like it was a newborn baby. "Look how stunning she looks in this one. Oh, and Ryan looks so handsome. I'll have to print a few to frame." "Of course. Maybe we can make space on the hallway wall," she continued, already mentally rearranging the photo lineup. I said, "You could take down one of the older ones." She frowned, genuinely puzzled. Why would I do that? Those are part of the family story. The story where I'm a background character? I muttered before I could stop myself. She blinked. "What was that?" Nothing, I said quickly, pretending to focus on the TV. But she didn't let it go. You know, you could send me pictures too, sweetheart. You never do. I turned to her. You have my graduation photos, my birthday photos, the ones from Christmas. You just never put them up. She sighed, a little defensively. Well, those aren't professional. Your cousins always send theirs printed and framed. You should really think about doing that. It makes such a difference. I bit my tongue because what I wanted to say was, maybe if I got a fiancé and hired a photographer, you'd finally remember I exist. Later that night, I sat in my room scrolling through my phone's photo gallery. There were plenty of pictures of me, selfies, group shots, even some decent ones from work events. But every time I imagined my mom actually framing one, I just couldn't picture it. Instead, I imagined her looking at it and going, it's not as nice as Emily's. I didn't realize how much resentment had been building up until that moment. It wasn't just about the photos anymore. It was about everything. Growing up, my mom constantly compared me to my cousins. If I got a B+, Emily got an A. If I got a job at a local firm, Ryan got promoted to manager. Every milestone of mine was met with a story about how my cousins were doing, just a little bit better. And I was so used to swallowing it, pretending it didn't hurt, telling myself she didn't mean it like that. But now, sitting in my childhood bedroom surrounded by walls painted in faded pink and framed diplomas of people who weren't even her kids, I felt this ache in my chest I couldn't shake. It's the kind of ache that comes from years of trying to be enough for someone who never really saw you. The next morning, I came downstairs, and there it was, a brand new frame sitting proudly on the mantel. Emily and Ryan, smiling with their arms around each other, backlit by some fancy sunset. It hadn't even been 24 hours since she'd gotten the photos. My mom had already printed, framed, and displayed them. I stared at it for a long time. Bean trotted over, tail wagging, completely oblivious to my inner meltdown. I scratched his head and whispered, "Guess it's not our house anymore, huh?" That week, things got tense. My mom and I started clashing over little things, dishes, noise, the thermostat, whatever. But underneath every argument, there was this unspoken tension. Like she knew I was pulling away emotionally, and she didn't understand why. Then one evening, she called me into the living room. "I've been thinking," she said, "maybe we can do a little photo project together. You can help me make a new collage wall, one that includes you too." It sounded nice, but I could tell from her tone it was one of those keep the peace gestures, not an actual solution. Still, I agreed, hoping it would make me feel included. We spent an afternoon going through old albums and boxes, and that's when I realized something. Out of hundreds of printed photos, there were barely any of me past age 15. Everything after that was digital, never printed, never framed. I held up one picture of me from high school, grinning awkwardly in a band uniform. "You never printed any from college?" I asked. My mom looked up from a pile of photos. "Oh, I guess not. You never sent me any good ones. I posted a ton online." She shrugged. "You know I'm not good with technology." Translation: she didn't care enough to save them. I laughed it off, but it burned. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the ceiling, my mind spinning. Why did it bother me this much? Why did it matter whose faces were in those frames? It should have been such a small thing. But the truth is, when you spend your whole life feeling like a side character in your own family, even small things start to feel massive. It's not just a frame. It's proof of who matters most. A few days later, I was cleaning up after dinner when my mom called out from the living room. "Oh no, Ryan's picture fell." I walked in to see her holding a shattered frame. "Did Bean bump into it?" she asked sharply. Bean was lying on his bed across the room, looking very innocent. "I don't think so," I said. "He's been here the whole time." "Well, something knocked it down," she huffed. "I'll have to reprint it." She gathered the photo carefully, brushing away invisible dust like it was a priceless artifact. Then she said, "You should really train Bean better. He's a sweet dog, but you know how he sheds. Maybe keep him out of the living room from now on." That one stung too. Bean hadn't done anything wrong. But apparently, in this house, even my dog was an inconvenience. That night, I sat on my bed scrolling through my phone again. And that's when I got an idea. A small, impulsive, slightly petty idea. What if I replaced the photos? Just for a day. Nothing permanent. Just to see how it felt. I spent the next morning quietly printing out a few photos, ones of me and Bean mostly. A couple of me with friends. One from my college graduation that my mom had never bothered to display. I even printed one of my parents and me from last Christmas, where we actually looked happy together. When they left for errands, I carefully took down a few of the cousin photos, not all, just some, and swapped them out with mine. When I stepped back, the difference was subtle but huge. For the first time, the living room actually felt alive. It felt like home. Bean jumped onto the couch beside me, tail thumping, and I swear I smiled for the first time in days. I thought this is how it should have always been. Of course, my moment of peace didn't last long. That evening, my mom came home and immediately noticed. "What happened to my photos?" she said, scanning the walls. I froze. "Oh, I just switched them out for a bit. I thought it'd be nice to have some new ones up." She blinked at me stunned. "You replaced them?" "Just temporarily," I said quickly. "You can put them back whenever you want." She looked absolutely scandalized. "Why would you do that? Those are family pictures." "I am family," I said quietly. That shut her up for about 5 seconds. Then she sighed dramatically. "You're being ridiculous. Those photos have been up for years." "And maybe that's the problem," I muttered. She crossed her arms. "This is my house, and I'll decide what goes on the walls." I stared at her, feeling that familiar lump of frustration rising in my throat. "You always say it's your house, but I'm living here too. Would it kill you to make space for me?" She didn't answer, just looked at me like I'd said something deeply offensive. Then she walked away, muttering unbelievable. That night, I sat on the couch with Bean again, staring at my photos still hanging up. I knew she'd probably take them down in the morning. But for now, just for tonight, it felt like I existed. Like this house wasn't just a shrine to everyone else's lives, but a reflection of mine too. Bean rested his head on my lap, and I whispered, "We'll get our own place soon, buddy. Somewhere we actually belong." He wagged his tail softly, and I swear it felt like he understood. But little did I know, that small act of rebellion was about to start something much bigger. Because by the next morning, everything in that house would change. And my relationship with my mom would never be the same again. After about a month of being home, I started noticing how much those cousin photos irritated me. Like, really noticing. Every wall, every shelf, every tiny decorative corner, it all screamed, "Emily and Ryan are perfect, and you're not." It was like living inside a shrine to people who barely even talked to my parents except on holidays. My mom would casually brag about them all the time too, completely unaware of how it made me feel. "Oh, look how well Emily's doing at her new job," she'd say while scrolling through Facebook. Or, "Ryan just got engaged. Maybe you'll be next." Meanwhile, I'd be in the corner, playing fetch with Bean, trying to look like I didn't care. But inside, I did. I cared so much it hurt. Because no matter how many times I told myself it was just photos, just decor, it still felt like proof that I didn't measure up. Then one weekend, my parents went on a short trip to visit some old friends. It was the first time in weeks I had the whole house to myself. And honestly, it was amazing. No background chatter. No comments about helping around the house. No passive-aggressive remarks about Bean's hair on the furniture. Just peace. Bean and I spent that Saturday morning lounging on the couch, eating leftover pizza and watching old sitcoms. He was sprawled on his back with his paws in the air, snoring softly, and I remember looking around the living room thinking, God, this house could be so nice if it didn't constantly remind me I'm invisible. And then I got an idea. A ridiculous, impulsive, slightly petty idea. What if I just made the house feel like mine again? At first, I told myself it would just be a fun little redecoration. Nothing major. Nothing malicious. Just a few changes, something to make me smile instead of roll my eyes every time I passed the mantle. So, I opened my laptop, scrolled through my photo albums, and started picking out my favorite pictures of Bean. Him wearing sunglasses in the car. Him sitting proudly in his Halloween pumpkin costume. Him smiling next to me at the park, tongue out and tail wagging. Every single one made me grin. So, I sent them to a local print shop and picked them up that afternoon. When I came home with the glossy photos, I spread them across the kitchen table and honestly, they looked adorable. I couldn't resist. I started small. I took down 2 or 3 of the smaller cousin photos on the bookshelf and replaced them with beans. Then I stepped back to admire my work. It looked better. Like, way better. Brighter. Happier. More me. That little burst of satisfaction was addicting. So, I did another one. Then another. And before I knew it, I was knee-deep in frames, swapping out Emily's graduation photo for Bean in a bow tie and Ryan's engagement photo for Bean playing in the snow. When I finished, the entire mantel looked like a Bean-themed art gallery. I even replaced the big framed family portrait over the fireplace, the one that included all my aunts, uncles, and cousins, with Bean's Christmas photo. Him sitting perfectly still in front of the tree, wearing a red ribbon and his biggest smile. It looked incredible, like a cozy little home curated by someone who actually lived there. For the first time in ages, I felt proud of the space. I turned on some music, danced around with Bean, and laughed like a kid again. For the next 2 days, it was perfect. I'd sit in the living room drinking coffee and just feel happy. No comparisons. No invisible weight on my chest. Just me, Bean, and our little sanctuary. When my best friend Jess came over, she couldn't stop laughing. "Dude," she said between giggles, "you turned your mom's house into a golden retriever museum." I grinned. "Tell me it doesn't look better." She looked around, then shrugged. "Honestly, it kinda does." We spent the afternoon taking more photos of Bean and joking about starting an art exhibit called The Life of Bean. It felt harmless funny, even. I didn't think it would blow up into something bigger. But of course, it did. The day my parents came home, I knew I was in trouble the moment my mom opened the front door. She froze mid-step. What on earth? Her voice cut off as she took in the living room. Her eyes darted from the mantel to the bookshelves to the walls. Everywhere she looked Bean. Bean in a bow tie. Bean at the park. Bean as a Halloween pumpkin. Even the family photo spot, proudly displaying Bean's furry face instead of a crowd of smiling relatives. "Where are my pictures?" she said slowly, like she was trying to convince herself she wasn't seeing what she was seeing. I tried to play it casual. "Oh, I just redecorated a little. It looked kind of cluttered before." She blinked. Twice. Then again. "Cluttered? Yeah. Don't you think it looks happier this way? Less crowded, more." "Where," she interrupted, her voice sharp now, "are the family photos?" I gestured toward the cabinet. "Relax, I didn't throw them away. They're right there. I just wanted to try something new while you were gone." She put her purse down slowly, still staring around the room like she'd walked into a haunted house. Then she turned to me. "Are you kidding me?" I blinked. "No. You replaced my family pictures with dog pictures? Not just dog pictures. Bean's basically family too. He's a dog," she snapped. Bean, bless his innocent soul, wagged his tail like she'd complimented him. My dad came in a few seconds later, suitcase in hand, and immediately sensed the tension. "What's going on?" he asked. Mom pointed at the wall dramatically. "Look at this. Look what she's done." Dad squinted at the photos. "Is that Bean?" "Yes, it's Bean." She took down all the family photos and replaced them with pictures of her dog. I tried to interject. "It's just for fun." Mom cut me off. "Do you know how disrespectful that is? Those pictures mean something. So does Bean." I shot back, louder than I meant to. And for once, I wanted the house to feel like my home too. My mom's face twisted, part anger, part disbelief. "This is not your home, it's our home. And I don't appreciate you treating it like your personal playground." Something inside me snapped. "Right," I said bitterly. "Because I'm just a guest here. Not your daughter, just some roommate who should stay quiet while you worship your nieces and nephews." She looked stunned. "Excuse me." "You heard me," I said. My voice was shaking, but I couldn't stop. "Everywhere I look in this house, it's them. It's always them. You act like I barely exist unless I'm doing chores or paying rent." I just wanted to see myself here, even for a second. The room went dead silent. My dad set his suitcase down carefully, like he didn't want to make any sudden moves. My mom's mouth opened, then closed. For once, she didn't have a snappy response. Finally, she said softly, "You think I don't care about you?" I hesitated. "I think you show it in weird ways." She swallowed hard. "Those pictures aren't about favorites. They're memories. They're milestones. You never send me new ones, so I use what I have." "That's not true," I said. "I've sent you pictures. You just never print them." "Well, maybe I didn't think it mattered to you," she said defensively. I laughed bitterly. "Yeah, I guess I should have sent a professional headshot to get on the wall, huh?" She looked away, her jaw tight. "You don't understand, honey. When you're a parent—" "No, Mom," I said quietly. "You don't understand." The rest of the night was tense. No yelling, no resolution, just this heavy silence that filled the house like fog. She didn't take the photos down right away, but I could feel it coming. The next morning, I woke up early to walk Bean, half expecting to return to a bare wall. But everything was still there. Bean's little museum of joy untouched. For a second, I thought maybe she'd cooled off. But later that afternoon, when I came downstairs, I found her standing in the living room, holding a trash bag. Every single frame was empty. The photos of Bean were piled on the coffee table, bent at the corners. "Mom, what are you doing?" I asked, my stomach dropping. She didn't look at me. "You made your point. Now it's time to put things back the way they were." "I didn't mean for this to turn into a fight," I said. "I just wanted." She finally turned to me. "You wanted to embarrass me." "What?" "No, that's not. You made a joke out of our family, out of my memories, because you're jealous of your cousins." That word, jealous, hit me like a slap. "I'm not jealous," I said, my voice cracking. "I just wanted to feel like I belong here." She sighed, shaking her head. "You'll always belong here, but not if you keep doing things like this." Then she picked up one of the Bean photos, the one of him in his little bow tie, and said softly, "You can hang this in your room if you want. But not here." She set it aside gently, then started rehanging the old photos, one by one. I just stood there, watching, feeling smaller and smaller. That night, after she went to bed, I sat on the couch with Bean curled up beside me. The walls looked exactly like they had before, my cousins smiling down at me from every direction. I felt stupid for thinking anything could change. But more than that, I felt sad, because it wasn't really about photos anymore. It was about being seen, being valued. And I realized no amount of framed pictures was ever going to fix that. The next morning, my mom left for work early. When I came downstairs, I saw she'd left something on the table, one of Bean's pictures in a small new frame. A note taped to it said, "He really is cute. But let's keep this one in your room, okay? Love you." I stared at it for a long time. I didn't know if it was an olive branch or just her way of ending the argument. But for the first time, it didn't make me angry. It just made me tired. Because maybe she'd never really get it. And maybe I'd never stop hoping she would. That night, I texted my friend Jess. "You still looking for a roommate?" Her reply came 2 minutes later. "Yep. Want the spare room." I looked over at Bean, who was snoring softly beside me, and whispered, "Looks like we're finally getting our own place, buddy." He wagged his tail in his sleep. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. When my parents came home, my mom noticed almost immediately. She hadn't even set her purse down yet. Her eyes darted to the mantel, then the bookshelf, then the wall by the hallway, the one that used to be plastered with my cousins' smiling faces. "What happened to my pictures?" she asked, her voice already laced with suspicion. I tried to play it cool. I just thought Bean deserved some representation. He's family too. She blinked at me like I'd just confessed to burning the house down. My dad, on the other hand, laughed. "Well, I'll be damned. Look at that. Bean's all dressed up. That's adorable." But my mom wasn't laughing. Her face went from confusion to disbelief to outright horror. You replaced my photos?" she said, stepping closer to the mantel. Her voice trembled, like she was trying not to explode. "I didn't replace them," I said quickly. "I just updated them. Made things feel a little fresher." "Updated them?" She let out a sharp, disbelieving laugh. "You mean you took down my family pictures and put up dog photos?" "Bean's not just a dog," I said. He's literally the only family member in this house who doesn't make me feel invisible. She froze mid-motion. Excuse me? I felt my pulse spike. You heard me. This whole house looks like a museum for my cousins. Every time I walk through the living room, it's just Emily and Ryan smiling down at me like they live here and I don't. Those pictures are memories, she snapped. You can't just come in and erase them because you're feeling insecure. Insecure? I repeated. I'm not insecure. I'm just tired of feeling like I don't exist here. Her face tightened. You do exist here. Don't be dramatic. Then where am I, Mom? I said, motioning to the walls. Show me one picture of me that's not from grade school or an accidentally caught candid. You can't because there isn't one. She crossed her arms. You never send me any. Your cousins mail me professional prints every year. What am I supposed to frame? Your selfies. That one hit deep. Maybe you could take some of me once in a while, I shot back. You know, since I actually live here. She rolled her eyes. You're being ridiculous. I'm being honest, I said. Do you have any idea what it feels like to walk into your own living room and see everyone but yourself on the wall? She let out an exasperated sigh. You sound like a child. And you sound like someone who doesn't even see me, I snapped. That's when she said it. You're just jealous of your cousins. The words hit like a slap. It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it. Cold. Final. Like she'd just diagnosed the whole problem and was done talking about it. I stared at her. Jealous. I repeated quietly. She shrugged. They've worked hard. They've made good lives for themselves. Maybe instead of being petty, you could learn from them. I laughed, that ugly, sharp laugh you make when something hurts so bad you don't know what else to do. Learn from them. I said, You mean the cousins who barely call you? The ones you only hear from when there's a wedding invite or a baby shower? Sure. Maybe I should start ignoring you too. Seems like that's what gets you on the wall. Her mouth fell open. How dare you talk to me like that? You called me jealous, I said. What did you expect me to say? My dad, who had been awkwardly silent until now, cleared his throat. All right, let's all calm down. No, my mom cut in sharply. I will not calm down. She disrespected me, my home, and our family memories. I can't believe you think this is okay. I turned to my dad. You're really gonna pretend this doesn't feel weird? You've seen it too. Every wall in here is about someone else's life. He hesitated. I could tell he wanted to agree with me, but he was outnumbered. Your mom just likes keeping the family close, he said carefully. Accept me, I whispered. The silence after that was suffocating. Bean, sensing the tension, let out a little whine and laid his head on my lap. I absent-mindedly scratched behind his ears, trying to focus on the softness of his fur instead of the lump forming in my throat. My mom shook her head, muttering under her breath. I don't know what's gotten into you. Ever since you moved back in, you've been moody, defensive. Because you make me feel like a guest in my own home. I interrupted. This is our home, she shot back. Exactly, I said. So why can't it reflect both of us? Because you don't live here permanently, she said matter-of-factly. This is my space. You're here temporarily, remember? Until you buy your own place. That stung more than I expected. I knew she was right, technically. But hearing it out loud, in that tone, like I was just passing through, made something inside me ache. So I'm not really part of this family anymore? I said quietly. Don't twist my words, she said. I'm not, I said. I'm just hearing what you're actually saying. We didn't talk for the rest of the day. She went upstairs. My dad went to the garage. And I sat in the living room with Bean, staring at the walls. The longer I looked, the more ridiculous the whole situation felt, all this over pictures. But the thing is, it wasn't about pictures. Not really. It was about being seen, being remembered. Because for as long as I could remember, I'd been trying to earn my mom's version of proud. And every time I thought I'd finally done enough, she'd remind me someone else had done it better. It's exhausting to keep loving someone who only loves a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. That night, I heard my parents talking in their room. They weren't yelling, just low, tense voices, the kind that make your stomach twist. At one point, I heard my mom say, she's so ungrateful. We let her move back in rent-free, and she turns around and mocks me. I wanted to yell that I wasn't mocking her, that I was just trying to feel visible. But instead, I just went back to my room, shut the door, and cried quietly into Bean's fur. He licked my cheek like he was saying, "It's okay. I see you." The next morning, things felt off. My mom didn't say good morning. She didn't ask about my plans. She just silently started taking the Bean photos down, one by one. No drama. No shouting. Just methodical. When she finished, the walls looked exactly like they had before, Emily and Ryan grinning from every direction. The house looked the same again, but it didn't feel like home anymore. Later that day, my dad knocked on my door. "Hey," he said softly. "Your mom didn't mean everything she said." "Yeah, well," I murmured. "She meant enough of it." He sighed. "She just misses how things used to be." "Yeah," I said, back when I didn't talk back. He chuckled sadly. "Something like that." We both sat in silence for a moment. Then he said, "You know, your mom brags about you all the time when you're not around." I frowned. "What?" He nodded. "You'd be surprised. She tells her friends how smart you are, how independent you've become. She's just not great at showing it to you directly." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But when I looked around my room at the stack of Bean photos lying face down on my desk, all I could think was, if she's proud of me, why does it never feel like it? That night, my mom texted me. It was short. Just one sentence. "I'm glad you love your dog, but family comes first." I stared at it for a long time. I wanted to reply, to tell her that Bean is family. That love doesn't have to fit into her picture frames to be real. But instead, I just put my phone down and whispered to Bean. "Looks like we'll have to make our own family, huh?" He wagged his tail softly. And for the first time, I wasn't sad. I was just done. Done trying to earn a place on her wall. Done pretending I was okay with being invisible. Done waiting for her to see me. The breaking point came a few days later. My aunt came over for coffee. She's the kind of person who notices everything and never misses a chance to comment on it. She walked into the living room, took one look at the mantel, and immediately burst out laughing. Not a friendly laugh. Not a "oh, that's cute" kind of laugh. It was that sharp, judgmental kind that makes your stomach drop before she even says anything. "Well," she said, smirking, "I guess Bean replaced the rest of us, huh?" My mom's face turned bright red. "Oh, it's just temporary," she said quickly. She thought it'd be funny. I wasn't even in the room, but I heard it from the kitchen, and that tone. That "please don't judge me" tone. That one hurt. Later that night, my mom barely said a word to me. She just moved around the house quietly, tight-lipped, avoiding eye contact. When she finally did speak, it was flat and cold. "Take the pictures down by tomorrow morning." No discussion. No emotion. Just an order. I stared at her. "No." She froze mid-step. "Excuse me, I'm not taking them down," I said. "You told me this is my home too, right? Then maybe it should actually feel like it." Her jaw tightened. "You're being dramatic." "I'm being honest," I said. Bean is family. If it's okay to have 10 pictures of cousins who barely visit, then one of my dogs shouldn't be a problem. She didn't respond. Didn't argue. Didn't even look at me. She just turned off the kitchen light and went upstairs. The silence in that house felt heavy, like the air itself was disappointed in me. The next morning, I came downstairs and froze. Every single Bean photo was gone. The mantel. The bookshelf. Even the one on the side table by the window. The one she never even noticed before, gone. Everything was back exactly how it used to be. The cousins were smiling from their frames again like nothing ever happened. I found the Bean prints later that afternoon. Stuffed in a drawer. In the laundry room. Not even stacked neatly, just shoved in there between old dish towels and lint rollers. That's when something in me snapped. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stood there, holding those crumpled pictures, feeling this weird mix of anger and heartbreak wash over me. It wasn't even about the photos anymore. It was about what they meant. About how I'd tried, over and over, to make this place feel like home again, and every time, she found a way to remind me that it wasn't mine to claim. So I packed up Bean's things. His leash, his toys, his favorite blanket. And I left. No big announcement. No dramatic goodbye. Just me and Bean in the car, driving to my friend's apartment with a single overnight bag and a heart that felt way too heavy for the size of my chest. I stayed there for a few days. Every time I thought about going back, I'd picture those empty frames, how easily she erased me from that space, and I'd stay put. Bean would curl up beside me every night, like he knew I needed him to remind me that I still belonged somewhere. On the third night, I got a text from my dad. "Your mom's worried about you. Can you just come home and talk?" I stared at the screen for a long time. Home. That word didn't feel right anymore. I didn't respond, because I realized something in that moment, something that both hurt and comforted me at the same time. Maybe home isn't always where you grew up. Maybe it's just where you finally feel seen. And for now, that was wherever Bean was. It's been about 2 weeks since the whole Bean takeover disaster. Things are still tense. Not screaming, not fighting, just that awkward, cold politeness that hangs in the air like fog. My mom and I talk, but it's mostly small talk now. Weather. Groceries. Did you feed Bean? Nothing real. Nothing heavy. I can tell she's still embarrassed, not just by what I did, but by the fact that everyone knows about it now. Because of course, she told my aunt. And my aunt, being the family megaphone that she is, told everyone else. Now my cousins are making jokes in the family group chat like, "Careful or she'll replace you with her dog." And, "At least Bean takes better pictures than we do." Huh, huh, huh. It's funny in that I want to scream into a pillow kind of way. My dad's been trying to lighten the mood, but honestly, he's not helping. He thinks the whole thing's hilarious. Every time Bean walks into the room, he grins and says, "There he is, the golden boy of the family." He even saluted him once. My mom just glares. I'm not sure if she's mad at him for teasing, or at me for giving him the material. Probably both. A few days ago, I tried to make peace. I sat her down, no sarcasm, no attitude, just me trying to be calm for once. I told her, "Look, Mom, I didn't mean to disrespect you. I get that it's your house and your decorations. I just wanted to feel like I'm part of this home too." She didn't say anything at first. Then she sighed and said, "You could have just asked." That stung a little, because I had asked in 100 small ways, by trying to help around the house, by talking to her, by just being here. But I let it go. I said, "Fine, I'll put most of your photos back. But can I keep one or two of Bean up? Just somewhere." She pursed her lips. "I'll think about it," she said. That was a week ago. The walls are still cousin central. And here's the thing, I know it's technically her house. I'm the one who moved back in. I'm the guest. But it's hard not to feel like she's been choosing everyone else's version of family over me. Like she's more proud to show off her sister's kids, the ones who only visit for Christmas, than her own daughter who's been here every weekend helping clean, fixing things, taking care of her when she's sick. It's not about the photos anymore. It's about what they represent. Those smiling faces on the wall? They're the version of family my mom wants the world to see. Not the messy, real one she actually has. And maybe I'm petty, but I can't stop thinking about how much love Bean gets compared to me. He doesn't have to prove he belongs. He just does. He wags his tail and everyone smiles. He sheds on the couch and somehow it's cute. Meanwhile, I breathe wrong and it's, "Can you not do that in here?" I don't know. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I just wanted something to feel like mine again. Something that said, "Hey, you're still part of this family, too." Maybe swapping the photos was childish. But the silence that followed? The jokes from my cousins? The way my mom looked at me like I'd just vandalized a church? That hurt more than I expected it to. So yeah, now I'm saving up faster than ever. Because as much as I love my parents, and as grateful as I am for a roof over my head, I can't wait to have a place where the walls are mine. Where I can hang up pictures of Bean, and me, and anyone else who actually feels like family. No silent judgment. No passive-aggressive sighs. No, I'll think about it. Just peace. Anyway, that's where things stand. Mom's still pretending everything's fine. Dad keeps calling Bean the golden boy. My cousins won't let it go. And I'm sitting here wondering if I really was the villain in this story, or just the only one who wanted a little space to belong. So, ATA for replacing my cousin's pictures with pictures of my dog.